Hello everyone, welcome to Succulent Palette. In today's video, I'd like to share some of my summer care tips. For the succulents I keep, this tends to be a difficult time where problems can come up if I am not careful. I'll talk about how to get plants through this time as smoothly as possible, so that they can be prepared to color up in the fall and winter. First, a quick primer on why summer might be a difficult time. The main environmental factors that makes this time difficult is the heat and humidity. When it's both hot and humid, it can make it more difficult for the plant to respirate, and ultimately lowers its resistances. That can make it vulnerable to pests and rotting. Now let's go more in detail on temperature. Generally, temps between 15 to 30 degrees C are safe, and a lot of succulents can endure highs up to about 35 degrees C. But starting around 35 to 40 C, they can become easily sunburned. Leaves that are burned will show black spots. You will want to prevent this because the damage on these leaves is irreversible, and you will have to wait for the plant to outgrow this ring of leaves. If the plants are under direct sunlight, you can help prevent sunburn by moving your plants to a shadier location or by providing a shade cloth. Also, in my experience, you cannot just look at the weather forecast for temperature. I keep a remote thermometer outside, and true temps can be very different from the forecast. Sometimes the measured temperature can be much higher than the forecast, which can be just enough to put the plants in trouble. That said, dealing with sunburn is easy enough. You just need to know what to look for and provide shade when necessary. The bigger trouble with the summer heat is when it stays hot at night. Succulents are different from most plants in the way they breathe and produce energy. They use a process called CAM photosynthesis. While other plants breathe all day long, succulents only breathe at night to preserve water. But if the night temperature remains too high, they will not breathe at night as well. The key thing is to help them get a break from the heat at night so they can breathe. You may also need to change your watering habits depending on your conditions during the summer. Particularly if it is humid where you live, you can go even further with the nudge test I showed in my watering video. You can let the whole outer rings of leaves become super soft before watering and only water when the ventilation is good. The key is still to limit the amount of time the soil stays wet to avoid root rot. This is especially true when it's hot because problems happen faster. On the other hand, if it is very dry where you live, like it usually is for me, you will need to water more frequently to prevent damage to the root system. Either way, when it's hot, I make it a rule is not to water when they are receiving direct sunlight. I find it's best to water around sunset or at night. Also, I increase my daily inspection and maintenance during the summertime, cleaning up any dried or translucent leaves as soon as I see them. Cleaning out dried leaves helps to improve ventilation and removes the places that pests and fungus like to reside. If you see any rotting or translucent leaves, remove them quickly to prevent spreading. Then you can move it to shade and keep them dry. Beyond the normal care tips, you might need to consider special treatments. This is the product I'm using for pest control. I would prefer to work on plants' own resistances, but since the plants aren't for consumption, I think it's okay to get some help, especially if it gets hot and humid where you are. For fungal problems, I haven't yet found a treatment that is effective and doesn't damage the leaves or farina. Finally, I think it's important to respect the seasonality of succulents. Propagation and repotting can be tricky during the summer, and so, if it's possible, wait for more suitable conditions. That's it for today's video. Thank you for supporting my new channel, and I hope you find some of these tips helpful.